Welcome to Welcome with Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 54. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immorality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immorality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory. The day our bodies are changed for the incorruptible and immortal, it will be fulfillment of the scriptures, where we are told that death will be swallowed up. Imagine a life with no death. We will be surrounded with God, Jesus, the angels, our loved ones. No more worries, no more sorrows, no more sins. And it will be there for eternity, with everybody for eternity. Like the forever, ever, evers, the non-stops of ever, ever, evers, and ever, never, ever, ever, evers. It never ends because we would never die. On top of that, I mean, we know that the earth has the most beautiful places that we've ever seen. But that compares nothing to what we're going to be seeing in heaven. The places that we found just so beautiful. I mean, we can go on Google and Google the most beautiful places on this earth. Take those pictures and multiply it by 1,000,000. We're going to be living in those places. It says our mansions are going to be made out of jewels. We think it's glorious when we go to somebody's mansions or see a mansion and it's made of marble stone. What about it all made of emeralds? All made of diamonds, sapphires, the most beautiful stones. Not like stones as in brick stones and rock stones, but stones, jewel stones. Streets of gold, buildings of gold. Could you imagine? I know that some of y'all might have seen other people's testimonies or near-death experience where they talk about how they've been to heaven, where God has showed them what it'd be like, where they sit there and testified that it was going to be like the colors are more vibrant, the reds are the most reddest, the yellows are the most yellows. It's almost like, you know, when you get glitter pens or glitter glue, how it's just going to be sparkling like the most vibrant of colors that we could not even imagine. The smell, the flowers. Some say that the flowers that you see on the grass that is growing actually dance and move and kind of sing almost, because everything has more life to it. And we already know that trees have life. We already know that flowers have life. Can you imagine what they're going to be like in heaven? Them swaying and singing almost. Be like watching the cartoons where like Snow White or Cinderella's walking around and everything's just singing to them. La la la, you know. We're going to be living in our own, so to speak, fairy tale. Except it won't be just some made up story. It will be our own story. We'll be living in it for all and forever. Just picture that. We could barely imagine that. So whenever you're feeling down and out, when you're just feeling that you just can't take it no more, and you're whatever situation, and there's is going to be a lot of us that's going through some pretty horrific situations. I mean, the loss of our children, the loss of our loved ones. Can't even fathom that. I know what it's like to lose. My whole life I've been losing the loved ones that I've had. Lost my husband. Then I finally met somebody after that. We was together for a long while. And then lost him. I lost my grandparents, which I didn't get to know until I was like, till I came to America. But for what short little bit while I did get to know them, then I lost them. Then I just lost my dad. I mean, it's always just been me and my kids. But now that my kids are grown and up, my daughters, she done off, and now she's done dabbling, and she done got married, and now she's doing all this witchcraft stuff, so we don't really talk. So I don't get to see my grandbaby, the only grandbaby that I got. Then my older boys, they're in their 20s. And, even though I live with them, they don't really believe too much in this whole God thing. And so, me and my oldest boy, we kind of get into it about it. But, they said it's going to happen. So it's like I'm just, pretty much all by myself, which I'm kind of used to, because it's been the story of my life. I grew up kind of just pretty much by myself, because, I left home at a very young age at the 12, sort of just being on my own. And I started leaving at home at 5 and was permanently gone. So I've always done any and everything pretty much by myself. And even though I might have felt alone, I was never alone, because God was always there. See, God never forsakes you. You may think you may have been alone and nobody was there, but when you built a relationship with God and when you get close to Him, you begin to realize that you was never alone, that He never left you alone, that He had never forsaken you. And with this being near the end of times, we're going to have so much fires, destruction, earthquakes. Not only are we going to be losing our houses and our possessions and everything, we're going to be losing our loved ones. There's already people that has already lost their children already. It's the most heartbreaking thing that you can almost possibly imagine, is to lose your significant other and your children. I can't imagine what it's like to lose your child to death. But I do know what it's like to lose your loved ones, especially the ones that you was married to, the ones that was supposed to be your partner. I do know those. Like I lost 2 of them. But with this near end of times coming, and this destruction, the end of the world, we're going to be losing a lot of things. And one thing I can tell you to help you make it through it is to remember what's going to be here after. That these lives are temporary. These things, these possessions is temporary. What will be permanent is our afterlife. What can help us make it through it is remembering that we're going to be having new bodies. We're going to be living up in heaven with God, with Jesus, with those loved ones who were saved. And if we don't know God, and we don't have that relationship, and all these things are happening, hopefully this will help you come to God. Because whether you believe it or not, whether you believe in God or not, the fact still remains. When you die, you're going to have 2 places you're going. That's heaven or hell. Whether you want to believe it or not, that is just what's going to happen. Where do you want to end up? When we're going through these rough times, it might help to believe, well, at least I'm not in hell. At least when I'm dying, I'm going to be with my God. Because these things are going to be so horrific, we cannot fathom the pure hell on earth that we're about to experience. But we can remember, at least when this is over with, I'll be in heaven with God. I'll be with my loved ones. At least I'm going to be burning in hell. And if we don't have our stuff together, we better hurry up and get our stuff together. Because they sit there and realize, if you think that you cannot handle this hell here that's about to happen on earth, this hell that you're about to live here on earth, the hell that you're going to is going to be with a face that you can't even fathom. Y'all can't even handle a bad day that's on earth, let alone a bad week or a bad year. Imagine a bad eternity. Bring yourself to God. Get to know Him. Get to know His comfort. Get to know His love. Because it's freedom in knowing God. Thank y'all, and God bless.